Time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois,
I'm Michaela Gavinstone.
and we're your guides on your journey into the heart of the primordial. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 3. Um, what the hell did you just say? It's the only thing that came to mind as a title.
Okay.
So,
Before we jump into anything else, let's
right.
just do a visualization.
All
Uh,
right.
and I'm channeling it, so we'll go where we go.
All right.
So, for the listener, for you, Danielle, roll your
Mhm.
shoulders and get yourself nice and comfortable. Feet on the ground. If you're seated, that's fine. If you need to lie down, that's fine. I care not what position you're in, so long as it's not difficult to maintain. So, close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in to fill your lungs. Nice and slow. And when you get to the top of that breath, hold and let it go. Just relax and let it go. Repeat your breath and let it go. One more. And now look outside of your body as you continue to breathe and just look at your aura, that magnetic field that surrounds you. It shimmers. It has lights. It has colors. What does it have? I don't know. What does yours have? Does it all look healthy? Are there any gaps? Is there anything that looks like it needs attention? If so, as you keep breathing, go there and just ask what it needs. And can you help it on this journey? Because we're going to do a little journey in a minute. What do you see there? Are there spaces? Are there blocked areas? What does it look like? I don't know. I don't know what yours looks like anyway. When you're ready, just nod your head and we'll continue. Okay, now go to the top of your head, above your head, and with the next inhale, we're going to go inwards. And I want you to go to the chakra, the place that calls you. One center is calling to you today. Go there and be with it. Just sit for a moment in that center. In my case, it's the heart center. It's been a very difficult week and it's all residing there for me. So where's yours? Where's the thing that needs attention because it connects to your aura? Remember to keep doing the slow, deep breathing. As you look around in that center, what's different to the last time you looked? What's new or something that you're noticing that you maybe missed last time? Go there and see if you can go inside it. Can you meld with it? How do you need to connect with that part? And what do you need from it? What does it need from you? You can tell me if there's something coming up and you want to share.
All right. So, my throat chakra feels like a big cave, and there's an angry snake guarding it.
Hmm. Why is the snake angry?
Hmm. It won't say.
Can you see something around it that would make it angry?
Okay, there's something lodged in its scales,
Ooh.
sort of like a thorn in the lion's paw thing.
Hmm. Ask the snake if it would like your help.
It's hesitant, but it sounds like a yes.
Sounds like a yes. Then approach with caution and see how you can remove the thing that's sticking into the snake and making it angry. Ask again for permission if you feel you need to.
Yeah, it's more cooperative now. It's actually lifting that section to me.
Very gently. See if you can remove that piece. And what is that piece?
Huh. So it's a knife.
Ooh, okay. Where did it come from?
All I see is a shadow or someone covered in shadow.
What does the knife represent?
Quiet. That tone probably also serves it, as in to be quiet.
So something is trying to silence the snake, it would seem. Is that accurate?
That's what the snake is saying, yes.
Now that the snake is freed from that, what does it need to tell you?
It's not quite free yet.
Okay. Then take a moment to do a little more work. Ask the snake what it needs. How can you help? And when you're ready, send the knife back to where it came from.
So that was interesting. Also high temp. Uh, so the snake had to absorb the knife and then vomit it out.
That is interesting.
So
What
I
was
just
the
helped it to,
purpose?
I don't know yet.
Okay. Do you need to know?
Apparently.
Okay. So just sit for a moment and ask again the snake, the shadow, the knife, what is needed here? What do I need to do to help?
So the shadow is saying you need to get lost and lose everything. But my understanding of that is that's not a truth at all.
I think it's time to send the shadow back to where it came from. If it's not serving you, then it needs to go. So visualize the shadow shrinking down to nothing, and you can repeat the words resolve, dissolve, cancel, and complete.
Resolve, dissolve. Sorry, what were the other two?
Cancel and complete.
Cancel and complete.
Send you
Resolve,
Send you to the Creator's light.
Send you to the Creator's light.
And then visualize the Creator's light, and whatever remains is absorbed by that light, cleansed by that light, and taken back. Now, what do you have?
So what we have left is a glowing golden snake that shed its skin because the skin went with the knife, went with the shadow. But the snake is not quite okay yet.
Does the snake need help or does it need space?
It needs help.
Ask what you can do to help.
I keep getting patience.
Patience. Is there anything that you could do in the moment that will help? Or is this a journey?
It's a journey.
Okay, then ask the snake if it's complete for now.
Yes, it's complete for now.
Okay, so you can pull away from the snake, away from the throat chakra. And as you look back at the throat chakra, how does it look now?
So it looked like a cave with some decaying feeling about it, but now it's basically the same color as the snake, has its own light.
Is there anywhere else you need to investigate, or is this the only place for today?
So there's a space between the ajna and the throat that's calling to me, but it's a void.
What is it calling to you to do?
I keep getting the word rise.
If you rise above that void, what happens? What's there?
So when you said that, what happened is the void rose above me instead.
Hmm. Does it want something from you? Does it require something?
Yes.
What does it require?
The first thing I got was time, and then that went away. And then I got heart, and now that's what's sitting there.
Does it require you go to the heart chakra?
No.
Okay. Sit with an inquiry for a moment, finding out what is required here. And remember, you are always able to choose if you want to do that or not. You don't have to do what you're told.
So the void is a visitor. It's visiting.
Is it welcome? That's your choice. Is it welcome?
Depends what kind of guest it is. So essentially, it needs some attention.
Is
But
this
what
spell
it,
work?
um, yes, yes, it is.
Mhm.
Oh, so this void, okay, this is the void Baba Yaga gave me or made for me.
Is there perchance something coming for you that, work that you need to do, and this is letting you know it's coming, or that's could be inaccurate? What is it telling you?
Okay, it's something it wants resolved in this episode.
Okay. Will it help us?
Apparently, greatly.
Okay. Is it complete for now?
Nope.
Okay. What else would it like you to understand, be aware of, help with, whatever it is? What else does it need you to know?
So apparently, we're doing a void spell when we're done this journey.
And will it be complete then?
Yeah.
Then I invite you to have one trip around the inside of your systems, your chakras, and just check in, kind of a, hey, how are you? Just check in and see that everything is okay there. There's nothing hiding or hidden. It's not the same thing.
Mm.
Um, and let me know if there is anything. If there is, we'll go there, and if there isn't, we'll continue.
All right. Since the listeners can't see me, but Michaela can, she sees where my hands are. There's like a bulge here.
But the listener, the pause is because Danielle is processing something. I can see this, and I'm letting him do it.
Okay, so that was remember, like you said, the emotion chakra. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that was the sludge around it.
Hmm. It was a vulture?
It's gone now, anyways. So we dealt with that. That's dealt with.
Is there anything else that needs you to visit and stay?
No.
Then, with the next deep inhale, gather all of your energy that you put into searching through your chakras, bring it together in like a ball of light, if you will, and then travel up through your body, through your throat, ajna, crown, and out through the top of your head. And then take that purified energy, the energy that you have worked with, and spread it throughout your aura. If everything feels good, if everything is where it needs to be, and you're satisfied that that is so, then come back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry. All right.
The listener may not have heard, I don't know, but I have a dog,
Mm,
a background that was whining at certain parts of that and giving her voice, um, which is kind of an
mm.
interesting backdrop for me
Yeah.
anyway. Yes.
All right. So all that straightened out. So now I guess we're doing void magic.
Okay. Lead on.
Mm. All right. All right. So for those of you who can't see, I'm doing some hand gestures. I just finished. I've been doing this for the last little while now. So while I'm waiting for the spell to show up, a lot of my spells lately have just basically been me repeating whatever the spirit I'm working with tells me. All right. I, Daniel Georges Charles Dubois, am ready for the void. I, the void, am ready for Daniel Georges Charles Dubois. Enter into me. All right. The spell is still ongoing, but I'm allowed to talk so that because this is audio. So if you can picture a space that you can pull like taffy, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in the void and I'm pulling it together into a ball. I, the void, am ready to change. Okay, so now I have the void collected as a ball, a taffy like ball. I, the void, call on those outside me to work with me now. I, the void, call upon you to work with me now. By that, it means the listeners. The void is extending an invitation to the listeners. I, Daniel Georges Charles Dubois, take the void and give you as a gift freely to those who need to work with you. I, Daniel Georges Charles Dubois, share my void with you. And that's the end of the spell. And pieces of the void, now compacted into balls, are being spread around.
So the listener who is doing the work, who's followed with us so far, um, perhaps find somewhere to sit or to stand, doesn't matter. Just find somewhere to be where you can just be, not paying attention to anything in your surroundings. Just be and see what comes to you. See what you understand. Be available for something new. And you'll know because it will be different for everybody.
So there's a spirit that keeps the void for me, that guards the door, allows in access. It's sitting here with me now, and it's kind of simultaneously watching every void ball that's out. So yeah.
I'd love to hear back if anybody has any experiences they'd like to share,
So that's a taste of what my spellcasting is like.
which is the listener can't see, but
Yeah.
if they're tuning in, I mean, really tuning in, not just listening to the podcast, but tuning into what's happening in it, then they'll feel it, they'll be aware.
Yeah, part of me is connected to the little void balls as well.
Well, it came from you, so you would be.
Yeah.
That's something for everybody to be aware of as well, is when you interact with something that someone sends out, there is part of them with that. So consider that. Consider your interaction and how you intend that to go.
Right. And just for bonus weirdness, the snake from the when we were doing the guided thing, if you could see it, basically there'd be like a snake sticking out right here.
Uh-huh.
It's a weird feeling.
Bonus weirdness. I like
Yeah.
that. Like we need bonus weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought with all this quiet, I was like, is this the end of the episode? And it's like, by no means. That was actually the words, by no means is this over, this
Hmm.
episode. But yeah, so a taste of magic there, people.
Yeah. No, my energy has been disrupted a lot this week by loss and
Mm.
just so much challenge with that. But there's always learning with loss as well. And it's not easy though. And the main sentence that came up over and over is this is the hard part of love.
Mm. Yes.
And that's it's a key sentence. It's a key thing, not just for me, but it's an important sentence to remember that it's not um loss is not about you having a hard time or why do bad things happen to me and that kind of stuff. It's literally this is part of the deal. This is what you get to experience, and it's the shadow side.
Yep.
It's a lot of learning in that shadow side. And there's a lot of revealing that goes on as well. And when you're in that space, you can call it grief because grief is love with nowhere to go.
Right.
That's my definition of grief anyway. Um, and when you're in that place, everything that's going on around, all the noise, all the yelling and violence and what have you that's happening in the environment, um, it all kind of goes into a surreal space, and you look at it very, very differently, and you can see it for what it is, which is it's a now don't get me wrong, but the image came up, so I'll use it. It's a serpentine distraction. It's like a giant writhing snake that is saying, "Look at me, look over here." I'm distracting you from your purpose. I like snakes. I like dragons.
Mm.
Like, so I don't know why it came as a serpent, but it did. Um, maybe this is the Buddhist Nagas. I'm not sure, the multi-headed snakes, but it's it's a distraction. It's a moving, constant, look at me, look at me. And when you go there, when you're taken into that space, you lose your purpose, you lose your intention, you lose some of your energy. And boy, have I been able to see that this week so, so clearly. Um, and the space that I've been in this week has just been, it's like I'm in the eye of the storm. and just very still in the eye of the storm. But the storm is a distraction. It's
Yeah.
been a lot. It has been a lot, and I'm very tired of the chaos and the lotness of it. Um, and I am doing some work on transmuting some of that into something a little less unstable. I am ready for a period of stability with my magic.
Right. So see what this does for you, Michaela, and the listeners. So one technique I learned a long time ago, kind of just trying to solve a problem, not a big problem. For lack of a better expression, we were playing energy games and we were trying to knock each other over just using pure energy. And you get enough people together and it works really well. And so when it was my turn to be pushed, my solution to the problem was I just rerouted the energy into a ball. And then as hard as people were trying to push, I just held the ball in my hand and that's where all the energy was going because I created a path for the energy to go to. And I'm mentioning it because as Michaela was talking about snakes, there were a bunch of snakes floating around, spiritual snakes, and they were
Mhm.
like bumping into me. And I did the same thing. I created a path for them to go into a ball. And they did. And now they're sitting in a ball.
Mm, I like that. I'll work with that. Yes.
And right. And not to cut you off, but so when we say journey into the heart of the primordial, flow, the flow of energy. You're in the flow of energy, move with the flow of energy, but you can also direct energy flow yourself. And so when there's an energy overwhelming you, you can direct it to somewhere other than you. And I'm speaking very softly, or at least it feels like I'm speaking very softly. So I don't even know if this is picking up on the mic.
Your voice level hasn't changed.
Okay. I feel very soft.
Hmm. Yeah, it's something that I've also understood from the lengthy period of fire and chaos that I've been
Right.
dancing with is that when you stay in one energy source for any length of time, and again, time is,
Mm.
variable, but for a period, if you stay too long, if you, yeah, if you stay too long, I'm not getting anything different to say, then you become seduced by the familiarity of it
Right.
and end up staying beyond the point where you should stay. And, full transparency, I'm as knowing as I can be that that is what has happened.
Mm.
And it's time for me to change the channels and move out of the chaos and the fire. Um, and funnily enough, this week I've been very much changing my space. I'm not in it right now, but when you next see it, it will look uh,
Yeah.
different. There's a lot that's shifting in there, um, and a lot that's revealing in there. So that's been part of what I've been doing this week as well. Um, and now I have another level to take it to that just dropped in during this podcast.
Mm.
So I have more work to do with that. But this is something to be aware of if when you're deciding this is my kind of magic,
Right.
that's my kind of magic. Add to that for now. It might
Yes.
not always be. And you can overstay your welcome. You can stay in that space for too long. And maybe you go back to it later, but you have to come out now and then. It's a bit
Yes.
like the hermit in the cave that stays too long and then forgets how to come out.
Actually, to tie it back to a previous episode, this is also one way that people go Wendigo. They spend too much time with just spirits and they lose their humanity.
Mm. Yeah, there are many stories about Wendigo.
Mm.
But the warning really from all of the shadow side is
Mm.
pay attention.
Yeah.
Don't stay too long. Don't, just pay attention. I don't want to give a list of don'ts. You figure out your own don'ts, but
Right.
just being aware and be open to changing what you feel settled with, because we're not really here to be settled. We're here to expand.
Yeah. I'm laughing because yesterday I was doing some work with Agni. For those of you who were listening during the summer, Agni, Hindu god of fire, also the god who burns the offerings and brings them to the gods. I did a spell with him yesterday, and I was angry all day yesterday. It piggybacked on the right now because me and Michaela have already expressed it a few times, that anger of listening to people because we're so getting pulled into what we're doing, that listening to people like almost being willfully ignorant and or misleading. And mine like amped up. Agni like was like, okay, we're gonna do this spell and you're gonna be like pissed now. And I'm not super pissed, but it's like, but that tension is like, I'm not on a hair trigger, but I'm easily annoyed. Very, very, very easy. I thought I was very easy annoyed before, but now it's even worse. It's like if I were kind to myself, I would stay away from social media and I would stay away from all the magic groups I belong to right
Mm.
now because people are corrupting it. People are corrupting the practices and they don't even realize they're corrupting the practices and people are piling on and it's getting worse and worse and worse because people are reinforcing that corruption.
Ah,
But
this is the time perhaps to create a non-social media space, which literally just dropped in as
mm,
something you and I will have to discuss this after the podcast,
right.
or feel into it and see if that's something to create a community where that is not invited in. I think could be a good move. Be
Mm,
very interactive. It's a risk, as anything new is, but that might be a thing. Because
right.
social media is absolutely, oof. I see. Okay, the image I get here is, the worms in Dune
Hmm.
with the teeth,
Yeah.
all the teeth. That is social media.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing to people. It's just sucking them in, and it's never satiated. So you're just another piece of food, and they're feeding off you. They're feeding off your energy. They're feeding off every interaction you give is like spoon feeding it. Here, have a
Yeah.
tasty morsel. And it's so easy to be sucked in. That's why it's successful.
Yeah. Part of it ties back to, at least how I would characterize it, when we did the episode on the weaponization of victimization.
Hmm.
People are tying all that in and they're weaponizing grievances and stuff and they're putting it into magical circles, not literal magical circles, but social circles. And they're using that. And you've already heard me say a bunch of times, if it gets in the way of your magic, drop your heritage, drop your background, because it's getting in the way of the purity of your magic. It's the same kind of concept. There's a lot of negative stuff put into the socialization around it.
Hmm. There's a lot of people that come into those circles. Again, the word circle, but it seems to
Right,
fit. There's a lot of people that find themselves going there because they're looking for something, and this is not actually what they're looking for.
right.
But they bring their Okay, the word not. I'm just going to go with the words I get. So they bring their nonsense into the
Mm,
circles and they pollute the air there because you can't necessarily see nonsense for what it is. If you could, we wouldn't all be sucked in by it.
right.
So there's a lot of that that goes on, and I think what everybody, yeah, okay, everybody, that's a big sweeping word right there, but everybody needs to find their morning ritual, their morning connection, and it's breath, it's chakras, it's the kind of journeys that we've done on this podcast. It's your version of that. And it's your version of tapping into what do I need today? How do I show up today? What is needed from me today? And ask for clarity. And when you get that clarity, hold it. Not in a fist, but in the palm of your hand so that you have it there and you can work with it for that day. And then you do again the next day, the same process. It's your personal process, whatever seems good to you. I've given you some examples. I channel them as I do them. I'm channeling this right now. And the key is you need to connect, ground yourself and connect. And from that place, then you can take on the day and you'll be able to discern what is pulling at you, what's this worm with teeth, and what's actually something to pay attention to. And when you're paying attention to that thing, remember the voices around it are distracting their serpents again. What is in the center of that? What is the fact of that that you need to pay attention to? Not the interpretations. None of them are accurate. None of them. They're all through biased lenses. So come from the place of grounding and connectedness and then use your own lens. And that's how you need to navigate because if 2025 has been a big year for you, there's been a lot going on. Buckle up, buttercup, because you got 2026 coming, and this is going to be an event.
A lot of hand gestures.
Whew,
Yeah.
that was a
Well,
lot.
yeah. While you were saying that, since you couldn't see it because your eyes were closed, the snake left. He went through the same pathway that the other snakes left in, and went. That was the work it needed done.
Okay. Yeah, that was channeling and it was rather strong. Usually I don't have to close my eyes, but
Mm.
that was that was pulling from my heart. Like
Yeah.
literally I could feel it. I can still feel it. It's been a very raw chakra
Mm.
for
Yeah.
a little bit now.
You
Um,
know,
and it
I was
just
gonna
got
say,
activated again.
yeah. Like we said in the podcast before, the stronger the spirit, the harder it is to channel. So sometimes it does come down to closing your eyes, and sometimes it's physically unpleasant because it's so difficult. And sometimes,
Yeah,
like I've experienced this one, is like you feel like you're going to get blasted out of your body.
yeah. No, this was
Mhm.
well, okay. The best description I can give you
Mhm.
for it is personal information here, but some years back, I had a form of heart surgery
Mhm.
called catheter ablation, which is literally where they burn your heart. There's a pathway burned
Mhm.
through your heart. And I had that done while I was awake, mind you.
Mhm.
So I remember how it felt. And it's a tough one to describe, but it's very, very deep and it's a pain that just sits. It's not sharp, it's not stabbing, but it sure is present, and it's there. It's just solidly in your attention, and that I had that similar feeling as I was
Mhm.
channeling, so it was pretty potent.
Yeah.
May not have sounded it, I don't know. I wasn't listening to myself, but it was whew, that was a thing to bring forward.
Yeah. Well, that's for those of you not experienced in channeling or don't do it very often. Your perception of the world is not everyone's perception when you're channeling because you're in a different space. Even though physically you're present in the physical world and you're interacting when you're speaking and stuff, you're in a whole different space spiritually.
Yeah, It's, yeah, what it looks like and what it is are not the
Mm,
same thing. What it sounds
right.
like, maybe. I don't know, because honestly, I don't hear me, so I
Mm,
need to go back and listen to that.
mm,
But yeah, it's not disconnected. It is simply not the same, not where you think it should be.
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of TV shows and movies and stories that, and this is one of my things, right? Especially when I see it, that stuff leaking into these so magical communities, quote unquote, online. It's like that's not how it is, and you should know better. And if you are legit in what you're thinking, but you just lack that much understanding, maybe don't lead the group. Like,
Well, it's also, maybe we need to deal with those distractions as they come in,
yeah,
because that's a part of our experience, right? We're
yeah,
surrounded by distractions. And as Buddhism often comes to
mm,
mind, and in this moment too, when you meditate, the point is not to have a quiet room where there's no noise and no distraction. The point is not to have no thoughts, which
mm,
I've heard so many people say so many times. But if you're alive, you're not brain
mm,
dead, you're having thoughts. That's what your brain's here to do. So you can't not have thoughts. The key with meditation is that you're not attached to them.
right,
You can recognize them, acknowledge them, and then let them go. Likewise with distractions. You can recognize them, acknowledge them, let them go. And the key is to being centered and connected while all of that's going on.
right,
So it could be that these unhelpful distractions are actually there to be helpful. They're strengthening your connectedness muscle because you're being challenged.
right,
Either you strengthen and hold steady, or you get pulled off track by the serpenty energy that comes in and disrupts.
right. So my turn. So ultimately, the ultimate truth of all this is that you don't know when you're going to have a moment. You can't write a book and say this, and this is how it goes, and if it doesn't go this way, it's not a thing. That's not true because any little thing can bring your moment. Any little thing can connect you to the spiritual. Any little thing can be a moment that sets things off. And the reason why Agni was pushing for me to have more beef with things is because there is a thing where when we talk about knowledge, we compartmentalize, we label. None of that's bad, but it's when we hold on to it and don't allow for something different, for those moments that are different, that bring new enlightenment. When we cap something and we define it in a box and we hold on to it tight and don't let go, that's when you ruin your magic. That's when your magic becomes impeded. And that's when all this goes to shit.
And that's the theme of today,
Right.
is holding in the palm of your hand, not in your fist, and being available to change what you've been doing or how you're showing up, or to allow something new in. That's definitely coming up today as the theme, right? And my version, what
Mm.
I just said about maybe the distraction's there to strengthen your muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't. Like, it's just, and that's the point, is it's a perspective. It's a thing
Right.
to consider and then decide, as the Buddha would say, does it fit with your experience? Does it resonate with you? And if it does, go with it. And if it doesn't, don't. But what else is there? Because sometimes considering a possibility that you then dismiss, that's okay. But first of all, why did you dismiss it? Was it for the right reasons?
Right.
And if you are satisfied it was the right reasons, then what else is there? What's next? What's behind it? What's new? Because 70% of the world's population are generators, going to human design very smoothly
Mhm.
here. And generators require options.
Right.
It's necessary to have options. It does not necessarily mean, however, that you choose from those options. It means those options lead to your answer.
Right.
And that's the key. So
Yes.
if you're putting it in a very, very mundane level, if your choices are for food tonight, do you want sushi, Indian food, or Mediterranean? You may then turn around and say, actually, there's a really cool vegan restaurant that I'd like to try. But the option came to you because of the other three.
Right.
They set the stage, they opened the path. And that is what 70% of the world's population require. So this is speaking to the majority. Now, I don't mean to ignore the rest of you, but that's what I got for today. It's the majority's getting the attention. Um, and so that's, consider options, even if you don't like them, look at them just so you can see, well, if that really isn't for me, what else is there? What's behind it? What's next?
Right.
What does it prod me to do?
Yes, that's exactly it. And speaking on vegan restaurant options, this is another thing that was in my bee and my bonnet that kind of pushed me today actually, in one of those groups online, someone had posted, you don't have to be, like you don't have, you can eat meat, you can smoke weed and all that stuff and still be magical. Like as if those things are antithetical to magic. It's not that the person was trying to say something bad, but the implication of the words were that those things are still antithetical to magic. And I was like, I was pissed and I was like, they're not antithetical to magic to begin with. But you're even like we had discussed, right? Like no using like speaking in indefinite terms. We both said it
Hmm.
about ourselves on the show. We had to be more direct in our vocabulary instead of adding things that detract from it, like saying, "Well, I feel," or or it could be when it's like when you
Weasel
actually mean it
words.
is this way.
Weasel
Yes,
words.
weasel words. So, and that post basically did the same thing, and it's like, no, no, you. None of these things impede you from being magical. None of it does. There's nothing special about not eating meat that makes you more magical than anyone else. Like,
Yes. And okay, so for me,
mm,
what comes up when you say that, what that brings forward is notice when, for the listener, notice
mm,
when you go into a space and you're bringing your story. So that person is coming into the space
mm,
with the whole story about meat and weed and whether it's okay or not, and they're projecting their decision on the group.
mhm,
That doesn't work. That's absolutely not a thing. I try not to use absolutes too often. I've
mm,
had a few today, which I'm noticing, but it's not a thing because it's your lens, it's your perception, and you can't come in and tell somebody else whether they can eat meat or not.
right,
It's not your business, but nor are you the arbiter of what is correct. So those kind of things can be extremely annoying because it comes in as you're telling me what to do, but you don't know. Why are you telling me something that you don't actually know? And people do that so much, so much. And we also have a lot. One of my personal
mm,
bugbears is when people say, well, I'm offended by X, therefore you can't do it.
mm,
And I even have clients I work with that will tell me they're offended by something, and I tell them that's fine, you can be. And I'm still going to do it. Like, I don't care if you're offended. That is your work, that is your business, and you can be as offended as you like. It's a choice. It is
right,
absolutely a choice to be offended. You can be as pissed as you like. Go and thump the pillow, yell into the void, whatever you feel like doing. It's entirely your right to do so. And I
mm,
don't have to change one damn thing.
yeah. The thought that comes to mind is like because we're saying, right, you don't all you know is what works for you. You can't say what works
Exactly.
for someone else. So kind of what's coming to mind is like when you speak, speak boldly. And if you can't speak boldly about it, then either don't speak or just share that it's your perspective. Well, you should always just share it's your perspective because it is your perspective. Because
Right.
there's that balance between sharing information. And if you do feel your information is valid, share it boldly, but don't
Yes.
share it in a position of judgment. There's a difference between the two. Say it with conviction, sorry. Say it with conviction, but be honest about what your conviction is.
Right. And some of these groups that you've mentioned,
Mm,
they cloud a few things that are coming up for me right now.
mm,
So I'll just put them out there. Um, One is there are Wicca
mm,
groups, right? We're talking witchcraft here. There are Wicca groups. Wicca is fine. If that works for you, absolutely do it. But do not confuse it for what those of us who are not Wiccan do. Wicca is a religion. It has the threefold laws, which is karmic and do no harm and yada yada yada. Um, it is a religion. It has a rule book. Witchcraft doesn't have a rule book. So that's a distinction for you. You can be Wiccan if you like. Like I got no care nor opinion on what path you follow, but don't confuse them because it gets very argumentative then with Wiccans yelling at everybody else, you can't do this, you're not allowed to do that, this is bad, etc. The judgment flows just like you're in a monotheistic religion. It's
right.
it's vitriolic almost. It's oppressive. It's oppressive. And that is not what the space that I inhabit is about. Um, so that is something that came up very strongly because people do get very confused about that. And that's where those things with you can eat this, you can't eat that, you can
Mm,
smoke this, you can't smoke that. Those kind of things, this is where's your rule book?
right.
Do you have a rule book? Okay, then this is not your space. And I think that's one of the most clearly defining factors that I'm aware of is this doesn't have a rule book. There are natural consequences. There's cause and effect. It's
Mm,
simply it is what it is, and no rule book's going to make that different. So
mm,
that's a piece of clarity if you're confused about what group to be in or who are your people that may help, and if you want to be Wiccan, that's totally cool. That's fine. Like whatever you want to do. We're not here to tell you go this path, don't go that path. But be clear about what path you're on.
yep. And remember, in the end, since this is coming up, if you ever find yourself in a position where you want to tell someone they can't do something, like, oh, you can't eat meat and be spiritual, or, you have to obey the threefold law, know that that's a part of you that's afraid and trying to gain control.
Yes. Yes. And the urge for a rule book is strong. We're all
Mm,
raised that way. We're all raised with you have these rules and if you follow this, you'll be fine.
mm,
And if you don't, you're in a world of trouble, fire and brimstone and all the rest of it.
right,
And that's to guide you, which is a very gentle term for what it's doing, but it's to push you in a particular direction that others want you in. It's a
right,
control mechanism. And if you choose to be in that, well, then you can give up your autonomy and go for it if you like. That's not my choice. So, you're going to come across other people who also don't choose it. There's no point in being mad at them when they don't choose your path.
right.
It's just a thing when somebody wants to tell you what the truth is. I recommend listening with an ear and perhaps a healthy dose of amusement because all they can give you is their perception of what the
Right,
truth is. I can't emphasize this enough. We all have our own lens and it looks different through that lens. If you take 10 people to a movie and then ask them all afterwards what they saw, 10 people will give you different answers. They saw the same movie. They just didn't see it the same way.
yeah,
And that's what we are all like. So if you're trying to get other people to agree with you and to see it through your lens, then you have a bigger problem than you may be aware of. because the need to be right shows an insecurity. When you can actually be wrong, or you don't care about being right, possibly more significantly, you
Mm.
don't have to prove yourself right, then there's a certain uh, sense of solidity and strong foundation is what I'm getting. Like you
Right.
are rock solid in where you are, right? Because you don't have to convince anybody else. If you think of arguments with other people, why are you arguing? Do you want them to see it your way? That means then that they must acknowledge they are, in air quotes, wrong.
Right.
Nobody likes being wrong. It's uncomfortable. It's hardwired into us from primordial times not to be wrong. Because if you're wrong, it can be life-threatening.
Right.
So if you have an urge to make other people wrong and you right, therefore elevating yourself above them, you, my friend, have work to do.
You know what? Since this just came to me. So for the last couple of days, well, actually for a long little while, I've been thinking about the ideas of titles. It's also one of the reasons why I say co-creators in magic instead of using titles anymore like witches and wizards. So if you look at the etymology of those words, a lot of times what you're going to find is they all mean the same thing. A wizard means someone who's wise. A witch is also someone who's wise. A shaman is someone who knows.
Hmm.
A hexenmeister or a hexe, hexe is a witch. A hexenmeister is a male witch. Like, but they all come down to basically meaning the same thing, either someone who knows or someone who's wise. So a lot of the titles are just part of where I have a bee in my bonnet about it is how it gets distributed when someone considers someone a witch. When someone doesn't know and they just know someone has a practice, how they label them becomes more kind of a source of their personal biases and prejudices. Like if
Well,
a woman does magic, usually she's labeled a witch.
right.
If someone comes from a quote unquote lesser developed country or lesser developed community, they're called shaman. It's like,
And yet shamans are so elevated. But what I find
yeah,
interesting is when you've got witch, you also said male witch,
yeah,
which which, lots of
yeah.
witches. But that's something that I hear. And yet, why do we need to gender this? There doesn't need to be a gender. It's your
Right. Well, you know,
practice. It's your practice. It's not your gender.
and I actually went not down kind of almost went down a rabbit hole about uh, so I came across an idea of witchcraft in Canada, especially as it relates to French Canadians, and why some there was a concept known as les filles du roi, the king's girls or the king's women, and they were sent because the king paid for it and sent them to New France. There was apparently a bunch of them who were witches, and that sort of started a tradition in Canada. But what I noticed is, referring back to magic and witchcraft in France, a lot of the people doing witchcraft in France were men. So they were casting, or no, sorry, this was in North America, sorry, in New France, not France, in New France, because there was way more men than there were women. So guys would cast spells either to entrance women or to make them infertile or to, make them unviable as mates. But I'm just saying, like, there were a lot of men involved in witchcraft.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's another area where we can get hung up on
right.
putting genders for things, and it's another distraction. It's a level of distraction.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Um, at least that's my lens, is it doesn't matter because it's all about what are you doing? Let's see what your practice is, and and that's fine. That's cool. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, the reason I mentioned Wicca earlier on was because I've come across people getting very confused. They don't know, well, do I have to be this? Should I be that?
Mm,
And these are very tell me what to do kind of questions.
right.
And a lot of people seem to be in that space, right? They're looking for something, but they don't know what they found yet. And it's a little intimidating, to say the least, when you come across something that doesn't have a rule book. and
Right.
your entire life has had rule books. That is a great unknown. That's literally going into the heart of the primordial. There's no rule book there. There's no, this is how you do it, follow these steps and you'll be fine. Nobody's ticking your boxes for you.
Right. It's funny too, right? Because my God, we can sit on this topic for a long time and beat a dead horse for the titles used and how people view them and how people act around them. Like I used to use online, I used to use the screen name, the Urban Shaman. And I got a lot of native people saying, well, you can't call yourself a shaman. Shamans don't call themselves shamans. And my first instinct was, well, shut the hell up because how are you going to know I'm a shaman if I don't tell you? That's the first one, the logic of it. But the idea is that this is one of those things where, especially people who are sensitive about cultural appropriation, shaman traditionally, as I understand it, are picked by spirits. So it doesn't matter what anyone says.
And again, this is
Mm.
somebody trying to enforce their idea of rules on you.
Right.
You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Like, what difference does it make to whom? If they don't like it, move on.
Yeah.
You can literally call yourself what you like. It's if it speaks to you, then it is what it is, right? Um, Again, we get so it's the same energy as the um I'm offended, therefore you have to not do what you're doing. That
Right.
cultural appropriation, a lot of it is I'm offended by you doing that, therefore you have to stop because of my lineage versus yours. Well, okay, maybe there's some areas we can all agree on, and maybe there's some, such as what title you give yourself, that is a little more open to flexibility, or could be open to flexibility, right?
Right.
uh, to give yourself a particular title, if the people who claim it for themselves, if they don't like you using it, then they simply don't come to you.
Right. That's the thing, right? Like I use wizard because the spirits I work with say use wizard. So
Mhm.
that's the reason why I use it. But
But
I would
again, who's
argue,
qualified? Who is qualified to tell you
right?
not to use it?
Yeah.
Who has that lofty place where they can tell you what you can and can't be? So for the listener, who's telling you what to do? Where's your rule book? Why have you got one? Do you still want one? Does it work for you? It's a way of keeping yourself, in air quotes, safe, which is an illusion. And it's also a way of keeping yourself limited in your practice, which is not so much an illusion. So it's all about choice.
Yeah. And it's the question of like, so if I called myself a priest, but there's a very structured organization around that title, like a religion, not a magical practice, although the religions usually absorb magical practices into them. They themselves are not an individual magical practice in the sense that we practice magic. I don't know if that's the right wording for that one, but
There's a lot of you can become an ordained minister of the Church of Cthulhu if you want.
right.
In fact, I am, just for
Are
just for
you?
fun.
Yeah.
Just for fun. And so, if I wanted to use the term priest, I could.
Mm.
I wouldn't say I was a Catholic priest.
Right.
That would, okay, now people are going to start coming and burning me at the stake and stuff. But again, because they have a story about that and what that means and what that can't mean, etc. But I think again, it's that serpentine distraction
Right.
of look over here, look over here. And while you're busy sorting all that out and arguing the toss, there's something else you're not doing. And that I think is that's the message. Like that's what I
Right.
got is while you are being distracted, there is something you're not doing.
That's right. Your connection to the spiritual, magical, the divine, that's your own. It's not ruled by anyone else's definitions. It's not ruled by anyone else's concepts. It's yours. If the power of
Correct.
Pikachu compels you, the power of Pikachu compels you.
Yeah, it's literally don't be sucked in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And
that's what I have.
yeah, and that's that. That's the
Mhm.
episode.
Yep.
This one wasn't as jarring in its ending.
No, but again, I can tell when we've both
Yeah.
arrived at the same place, same time. Because, it can be that you have something more to add. Once I'm told I'm done,
Mm,
that's it. I got there, and that was the last thing I needed to say.
yeah. This one was kind of interesting. I'll share this before we end. So in my mind, I kind of visualized an airplane flight. Like I was feeling the flow, and I could feel the flow kind of coming down and merging back with the rest of my day, kind of like
Hmm,
an airplane coming in for a landing. So it
cool.
wasn't as jarring this time around where like it just stopped. He was like, okay, we're getting ready to land. Put your seatbelts on. Here we go. So that, dear listeners, is the episode. I don't remember the title of it anymore, but
No, but it was a good one, and I don't
yeah.
remember it either. I just remember it was a good one.
Mm. So once again, I'm Daniel Zubois.
And I'm Michaela Gaffinstone.
Until next time.
Until next time.